Our girls, we sent some girls to TechCrunch to Disrupt, and they, for Cambio and AOL, and they were the one group of girls out of 500. And literally people were coming to take selfies with them as if they were animals in a zoo. Because they had never seen girls before.
Right, right.
So that's true.
Yeah.
You know?
And what I'm wondering is Silicon Valley the show? And I think to some extent everyone is responsible for, you know, encouraging girls to get into tech. Is an HBO show responsible for, I mean, are middle school girls watching Silicon Valley?
I really hope not.
I know.
I hope not.
Please
it is
don't.
not appropriate for your age group at all.
But, and the thing is, of course we owe it to the audience, to the world, to portray competent female engineers, and we are going to in the second season. But the first season was about creating this world, and they were all guys, because that's the story.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so interesting. There was this actually pretty prominent woman in tech who called up one of the creators and said, you know, I really, I like the show, it's very funny. I don't like, you know, it's the same thing, it makes my blood boil. You know, those shots you had at TechCrunch where you made it all guys and you just set it up like that, and Mike Judge said, no,
that's it.
That was actually
footage.
TechCrunch.
Yeah, that was
the real
footage that
thing.
he took of
I
TechCrunch.
just want to mention that there's no real good role models for us males in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we don't want to be like any of them. No, I think the question is, it's not that is it our fault? Is there an opportunity? Right. And that's more my challenge to Hollywood. Is like, is there an opportunity to do something creative on that show?
Right.
Because I do think that, no, you're right. Middle school girls, high school girls probably not watching, but their parents are. And if you look at statistics, 40% of girls go into STEM because mom and dad told them to. So they play a very big role. And I think as I will be a mom, we're protective of our kids, right? And if you think that that's how it is, you're not like, honey, you should really go to Silicon Valley.
Yes.
And so, but again, so I think more of the question is there an opportunity?
Sure, and of course there is, and I do think we will take advantage of that. It was a challenge for us, and we were excited to take it on to create, you know, like the definitive satirical female character in Silicon Valley, and it's not easy because there aren't a lot of them, and you want to treat it carefully.
Just did a story on public radio about the nexus between gaming and coding, and about how kids that play with computers and that play video games typically, as they're young, become much more interested in computers and computer science as they get older. And they said that the game that's been drawing more girls, because girls don't like to play the same games that boys do. They typically don't like to destroy things. I didn't make up the genders. They just boys apparently like to break stuff. Is that girls play a game called Minecraft, which is a building game and a world-creating game, and that the more girls that play Minecraft, the more girls get really curious about how these worlds work and how they're composed. And so the moral of my story is that everybody should play video games all the time. But that's a way in. And so don't discourage your child from playing games because it makes them naturally curious about computer science.
Absolutely. And the way that we teach girls is through project-based learning. So we'll have a whole week on video games. I mean, Anna, who is one of the young women that was in the thing, I mean, you love video games, right? And every time we have projects in our classrooms, whether they're in Miami, Seattle, Boston, New York, California, or Austin, some girl is building a video game as her final project. And so I think that that's absolutely right. How do you feel like, Elizabeth, you're influencing girls who might want to become like you and become scientists? And do you feel like that's something that you're obligated to do?
I don't think that the television world has obligations. I think raising a discussion like this, you realize how many young girls are out there and would tune in to watch a TV show or would go to the movies and buy a ticket. And I think that that's, like you were saying before, that's the bottom line. That's what producers need. They need viewers. They need people to go and watch it. And I think that this, you know, there is an issue and it has been raised. And, you know, I meet young girls all the time that tell me they're really excited about going to physics or biology because of watching my character. And that's very gratifying, and it's lovely to get that feedback. But I think that, you know, you hold the power. These young girls hold, you know, a certain amount of power that they, you know, it's just about telling the guys at the top that, hey, they're here.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Do you think that it then influences the writers, right? That there is something called the CSI effect. I mean, it absolutely has had an effect on the amount of girls who've now raised their hand and said, I want to be forensic scientists. The same thing is now happening with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so how do you make, right, no pressure, but how do you make sure that feedback rises to the top? Or is it just eyeballs?
I think it's everything. I don't think there's one kind of answer. You know, Joss Whedon, who executive produces our show and kind of created the show with his brother Jed Whedon and his wife Marissa Tancherone. He gets asked all the time, how come you write strong female characters? Why do you da, da, da? And his answer is always, because I keep getting asked that question.
Yeah.
And so he, I think the more strong female characters are out there, the better. It creates more conflict, it's more dynamic, it's interesting, and we need strong male characters as well. And I think the more that you see those, it's going to have a snowball effect, definitely.